Ladies and gentlemen, respected teachers, and dear friends, today I invite you to pause, breathe, and reflect with me on a subject that has transformed lives across the world: mindfulness practice. In the chaos of our daily routines, we often find ourselves rushing, worrying about the future, or dwelling on the past. But mindfulness reminds us of something very simple yet profound. The present moment is all we truly have. Mindfulness practice is the art of being fully aware, with gentleness and without judgment, of what we are experiencing right now. Whether it is our thoughts, emotions, or the world around us, mindfulness teaches us to observe, accept, and live with clarity. It is not just a philosophy, it is a practical tool. From ancient traditions to modern psychology, mindfulness has been proven to reduce stress, improve focus, enhance emotional well-being, and even strengthen relationships. By cultivating mindfulness, we step out of the autopilot mode of life and awaken to the richness of every moment. Living in the present moment is at the very heart of mindfulness practice. Too often, our minds are caught between two extremes: the regrets and mistakes of the past and the fears or expectations of the future. We replay conversations that are long over, or we worry about outcomes that have not yet arrived. In doing so, we lose touch with what is right in front of us, the only moment we can truly live in, the present. Mindfulness teaches us to anchor our awareness in the now. It is about bringing our wandering attention back to this breath, this step, this thought, this feeling. When we learn to appreciate the present moment, life stops being a blur and begins to unfold with richness and clarity. For example, something as ordinary as drinking a cup of tea becomes an extraordinary experience when we pause to notice the warmth of the cup, the aroma rising with the steam, and the subtle flavors on our tongue. By training ourselves to live in the present, we begin to free ourselves from the endless cycle of what ifs and if onlys. We no longer need to dwell on the disappointments of yesterday or anxiously anticipate the challenges of tomorrow. Instead, we develop the strength to respond to life as it is happening moment by moment with calmness and awareness. This practice not only enhances our ability to enjoy life, but also equips us to face difficulties with a clearer and steadier mind. One of the most recognized benefits of mindfulness practice is its powerful ability to reduce stress and anxiety. In our modern lives, we are constantly under pressure. Academic deadlines, workplace responsibilities, financial worries, or personal conflicts all add to the weight on our shoulders. Our minds often react by racing from one thought to another, creating an overwhelming sense of unease. Stress and anxiety not only disturb our peace of mind, but also affect our physical health, leading to fatigue, poor sleep, and even long-term illnesses. Mindfulness offers a natural way to break this cycle. Through mindful breathing and focused awareness, we learn to calm the nervous system and bring ourselves back to a state of balance. When we consciously pay attention to our breath, inhaling slowly and exhaling with awareness, we activate the body's relaxation response. This signals to the brain that we are safe, reducing the production of stress hormones such as cortisol. Over time, this simple practice helps to build resilience, making us less reactive to daily challenges. Moreover, mindfulness teaches us to observe our anxious thoughts without judgment. Instead of being carried away by a storm of what might happen, we begin to see those thoughts for what they are: temporary and not necessarily true. This shift in perspective reduces the intensity of anxiety and gives us the mental space to respond calmly rather than react impulsively. Many studies in psychology and neuroscience confirm that regular mindfulness practice rewires the brain, strengthening the areas responsible for emotional regulation and reducing overactivity in regions linked to fear and worry. In a world filled with distractions, our ability to concentrate has become one of the most valuable yet fragile skills. Every day, we are surrounded by buzzing notifications, endless streams of information, and the constant pressure to multitask. As a result, our minds are often scattered, jumping from one thought to another, leaving us feeling restless and unfocused. Mindfulness practice directly addresses this challenge by training the mind to return, again and again, to a single point of focus. At its core, mindfulness is about attention. Directing our awareness fully to the task at hand, whether it is listening to someone speak, reading a book, or simply breathing. When we practice mindfulness meditation, such as focusing on the breath, we are essentially exercising our attention muscle. Each time the mind wanders and we gently bring it back, we strengthen our ability to stay present. Just like physical exercise builds strength in the body, this mental training builds focus and clarity in the mind. Over time, this enhanced concentration begins to show up in all areas of life. Students find it easier to study and retain information because their minds are less distracted. Professionals are able to complete tasks more efficiently as they can give their full attention without constantly drifting. Even in daily conversations, mindfulness helps us listen deeply rather than half hearing while thinking of something else. This type of focused presence not only improves performance, but also enriches our relationships and personal experiences. Scientific research supports these benefits, showing that mindfulness practices increase activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for attention, planning, and decision making. With regular practice, the brain becomes better wired to sustain focus, resist distractions, and process information more effectively. In a society where attention is constantly being pulled in 1,000 directions, mindfulness gives us back the power to direct our concentration where it truly matters. Emotions are a natural part of being human. They shape the way we experience the world, influence our decisions, and color our relationships. Yet, when emotions become overwhelming, they can cloud our judgment and push us into reactions we later regret. Anger may lead to hurtful words, fear may cause hesitation, and sadness may drain our motivation. This is where mindfulness practice plays a vital role. It allows us to develop emotional balance by observing our inner world with awareness and without judgment. Mindfulness does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending they do not exist. Instead, it teaches us to face them honestly with acceptance. When we sit in stillness and notice the rise of a feeling, whether it is frustration, joy, or anxiety, we learn to acknowledge it as a passing experience rather than something that defines us. This shift in perspective creates space between the stimulus and our response, giving us the freedom to choose how we act instead of being ruled by raw impulses. Through mindfulness, we also begin to notice the subtle signals of our emotions before they escalate. For example, we might feel the tension building in our shoulders before anger bursts out, or we may catch the restless flutter in our chest before anxiety takes over. By recognizing these signs early, we can pause, breathe, and regulate our response. This practice of self-awareness prevents emotions from spiraling out of control and helps us approach situations with greater calmness and clarity. In addition, mindfulness cultivates compassion towards ourselves and others. Often, when we feel overwhelmed by negative emotions, we criticize ourselves for being too sensitive or not strong enough. Mindfulness encourages a kinder approach, reminding us that emotions are part of the human experience. This self-compassion reduces inner conflict and builds resilience. As a result, we become more understanding not only of our own struggles, but also of the emotions of those around us. This deepened empathy strengthens our relationships and allows us to connect with others on a more genuine level. While mindfulness is often spoken of in terms of mental well-being, its impact on physical health is equally profound. The mind and body are deeply connected. What affects one inevitably influences the other. Chronic stress, for instance, doesn't just make us feel worried, it takes a toll on our immune system, raises blood pressure, and contributes to fatigue and illness. By practicing mindfulness, we engage in a holistic approach that nurtures both mental clarity and physical vitality. One of the most significant ways mindfulness improves physical health is through stress reduction. When the mind is calm, the body follows. Mindful breathing and meditation lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone responsible for many health issues such as heart disease, diabetes, and weakened immunity. With regular practice, people often notice improvements in their blood pressure, heart rate, and overall energy levels. In this way, mindfulness becomes a preventive measure, protecting the body from the long-term damage caused by constant tension. Mindfulness also plays a powerful role in improving sleep. Many people struggle with restless nights because their minds are filled with racing thoughts. Mindfulness helps quiet these mental storms by teaching us to let go of overthinking and return to the present moment. This relaxation naturally prepares the body for deep restorative sleep, which is essential for healing, memory consolidation, and overall health. Additionally, mindful awareness extends to the way we treat our bodies in daily life. When we practice mindful eating, for example, we begin to notice the flavors, textures, and portions of our food more carefully. This reduces overeating and helps us make healthier choices, leading to better digestion and weight management. Similarly, mindful movement, whether through yoga, tai chi, or even mindful walking, enhances flexibility, strengthens muscles, and promotes better posture. These practices not only improve physical health, but also create a deeper connection between the body and mind. Scientific research further supports these benefits. Studies have shown that mindfulness can reduce chronic pain by changing the way the brain perceives discomfort. Rather than resisting or amplifying the pain through fear, mindfulness helps individuals observe the sensation with acceptance, which lessens its intensity. This has made mindfulness an important complementary approach in managing conditions such as arthritis, migraines, and back pain. At its core, mindfulness is not only about awareness of the present moment, but also about the quality of that awareness. When practiced with gentleness and openness, mindfulness naturally gives rise to compassion, both for ourselves and for others. In today's fast-paced world, where judgment and criticism often dominate, cultivating compassion becomes essential for healthier relationships and a more harmonious society. Mindfulness teaches us to approach our experiences without harsh judgment. When we notice our own thoughts and emotions during meditation, we are encouraged not to label them as good or bad, but simply to acknowledge them as they are. This non-judgmental awareness helps us treat ourselves with kindness, especially in moments of struggle or failure. Instead of criticizing ourselves for mistakes, mindfulness invites us to respond with patience and self-understanding. This self-compassion is the foundation upon which compassion for others can flourish. As we become more aware of our own struggles, we begin to realize that others face similar challenges. Mindfulness deepens our ability to listen empathetically and connect with the emotions of those around us. For instance, when a friend is upset, rather than rushing to give advice or dismissing their feelings, mindfulness allows us to be fully present with their pain. This presence communicates genuine care and creates a safe space where others feel heard and valued. Scientific studies have shown that mindfulness practices, such as loving kindness meditation, increase activity in brain regions associated with empathy and positive emotions. These practices encourage us to consciously generate feelings of goodwill, beginning with ourselves and gradually extending outward to friends, strangers, and even those we find difficult. Over time, this strengthens our natural capacity for empathy and reduces tendencies toward anger, resentment, or indifference. Moreover, compassion nurtured through mindfulness extends beyond personal relationships. It influences how we interact with society and the world as a whole. By practicing mindfulness, we become more sensitive to the suffering around us and more motivated to take meaningful actions. Whether that means offering a kind word, supporting someone in need, or contributing to causes that promote collective well-being. Compassion rooted in mindfulness is not just an emotion, it becomes a guiding principle that shapes the way we live and engage with others. Every one of us carries certain habits, thought cycles, or behaviors that do not serve us well. These negative patterns may include constant self-criticism, procrastination, unhealthy coping mechanisms, or even destructive relationships. Often, they operate unconsciously, repeating themselves like a loop without us realizing how much influence they have on our lives. Mindfulness practice provides a powerful way to recognize and break free from these cycles, offering us the possibility of change and growth. The first step to breaking negative patterns is awareness. Without mindfulness, we tend to react automatically, falling back into old habits without questioning them. For example, when faced with stress, some people may instinctively turn to overreacting, while others may lash out in anger or retreat into isolation. Mindfulness interrupts this automatic reaction by creating a pause between stimulus and response. In that pause, we gain clarity to see the pattern unfolding and the freedom to choose a healthier response. Mindfulness also helps us uncover the root of these patterns. By observing our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we begin to notice the triggers that set off certain behaviors. Perhaps procrastination arises from fear of failure, or self-criticism is rooted in long-held insecurities. This deeper understanding allows us to address the underlying cause rather than just the surface behavior. Over time, as awareness grows, the grip of these patterns weakens and we no longer feel controlled by them. Furthermore, mindfulness builds patience and perseverance in the process of change. Breaking negative patterns is rarely instant. It requires consistent effort and compassion toward ourselves. Through mindfulness, we learn to accept setbacks without giving up, recognizing that growth happens gradually. Each time we catch ourselves before repeating an old habit, No matter how small the progress may seem, it becomes a step toward freedom from the cycle. Scientific studies support this transformative power of mindfulness, showing that it rewires the brain by strengthening areas linked to self-control and weakening those associated with automatic, impulsive reactions. This neuroplasticity proves that with mindfulness, we are not trapped by our past behaviors or ingrained habits. We have the capacity to reshape our minds and consequently our lives. Mindfulness is often misunderstood as something that only happens during meditation when one sits quietly with closed eyes. While formal meditation is indeed valuable, the true strength of mindfulness lies in its practical application in our everyday lives. It is not meant to remain confined to a cushion or a specific practice session. It is a way of living that can be woven into the simplest activities of the day. By bringing awareness into ordinary moments, mindfulness transforms routine experiences into opportunities for presence, clarity, and peace. For example, something as simple as eating can become an act of mindfulness. Instead of rushing through a meal while scrolling on our phones or thinking about the next task, we can pause to truly notice the colors, textures, aromas, and flavors of the food. This mindful eating not only enhances appreciation, but also prevents overeating and promotes healthier choices. Similarly, walking can shift from being just a way of moving from one place to another into a mindful practice where each step is felt, each breath is noticed, and the environment is observed with curiosity. Mindfulness can also be integrated into work and study. Often, people multitask, juggling several things at once, which leads to inefficiency and stress. Mindfulness teaches us to give full attention to one task at a time, making our efforts more focused and effective. Even pausing for a few moments to breathe mindfully before beginning a project or presentation can ground us and improve performance. For students, practicing mindfulness while reading or revising helps in better concentration and deeper retention of knowledge. Relationships too benefit greatly when mindfulness becomes part of daily life. Being fully present while listening to someone, without interrupting or letting the mind wander, creates deeper connections and builds trust. A mindful pause before reacting in an argument can prevent hurtful words and encourage understanding. In this way, mindfulness becomes not just a personal practice, but a tool for nurturing healthier and more compassionate relationships. Moreover, mindfulness can be infused into daily routines that seem ordinary. Brushing teeth, washing dishes, commuting, or even waiting in a queue. Instead of letting impatience or boredom take over, we can turn these moments into chances for awareness by noticing our breath, bodily sensations, or surroundings. These small acts repeated throughout the day gradually train the mind to stay present and cultivate a calm, attentive way of living. In essence, mindfulness is not a complicated philosophy reserved for a few. It is a simple yet powerful practice available to all of us. It teaches us to live in the present, calm the storms of stress, focus our attention, balance our emotions, nurture our health, and strengthen our compassion. It gives us the courage to break free from negative cycles and the wisdom to bring awareness into our everyday lives. If we can learn to pause, breathe, and pay attention, even for a few moments each day, we will discover that peace is not something far away, but something already within us. Mindfulness is not about changing who we are. It is about awakening to who we truly are and embracing life with clarity, kindness, and gratitude. Thank you